I wanted to show the difference, and we were able to pinpoint them with what happened was both aircraft were using they have lasers that are invisible to the naked eye. When you wear NVGs, you can see them. So both pilots were communicating with that. We would then use our spotlight to let them know, hey, we know exactly where you're at. They actually come out of the woods, hands up, and surrender.
Looks like they're kind of walking.
So they actually walked out hands up before we were even by them, surrendered the helicopters. And then the last video, and I'll answer questions while this is playing. This is just the requested system, but during the day, color. And this is a demo from the company. It's on an airplane. They're actually at 4,000, just under 4,000 feet here. And they're gonna look at our crown jewel of Kansas City. So is there any questions or anything anyone has?
How old is our system?
So the system for us is 10 years, but the technology that we used when we purchased it, it was on its way out at that time, unfortunately. It was just the way it fell. So while it's 10 years old for us, the system itself, closer to 15 to 16.
Yes. Yes. And what does the new system cost?
So for all three aircraft, it's right at $2 million. That's all I had.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I have one final presentation. It's Officer Aaron McKee, and he works out of our Metro Patrol Division, and he is one of the multi-housing, crime-free. He does apartment complexes. He handles a lot of issues, not just in Metro, but all over the city. So, Officer McKee.
Good morning. Good morning, board. Good morning, command staff. Appreciate the opportunity to be in front of you today just to give you a brief overview of the crime-free multi-housing program. Last month, I know the chief pointed out that I would be here to follow up in regard to what they were doing out south in regard to the apartment communities that they're working with, and basically give you a background on the crime-free multi-housing program and how it works within Kansas City. Just go ahead. Okay. So I'll give you a brief history of the program. This basically started in 1992 in Mesa, Arizona by a patrol officer just like myself. He was assigned by his command staff to go out and contact this apartment community that they've been having some issues with. They were averaging about 40 calls a month. So basically they reassigned the officer to work with the ownership, the current management company, the security company that they hired, and the maintenance staff that was working with the property. In a year's time, basically what he found is that the average communication that we used to give before, I know when I went back to in the academy in 99, anytime we had a landlord-tenant issue or civil issue, we always said it's a civil matter. And basically we left it at that, said reach out on your own and contact an attorney. But from what he found is that hands-on activity as far as working with the ownership and management day in and day out, management leaves at 5 o'clock. They don't return till the next day at 9 a.m. There's not a whole lot of things that are communication given from the police department back to that community as itself. So the more that we can be involved and follow up with information and give that to them, basically this is how this program was developed and it came about. The whole idea is it's aimed at reducing crimes and calls to real properties. Since 1992, it's grown to 2,500 communities in the U.S., Canada, and 5 other countries. In Kansas City, we actually started as a pilot program in 1996 under the landlord training program taught by the Jackson County Prosecutor's Office. In 2000, our North Patrol unit started the crime-free multi-housing program as a test. And now, since then, it is all in every Kansas City Patrol Division official as of 2005. What's involved in the program? There are 3 aspects of it. There are 3 phases of the property to complete before becoming fully certified in our program. Phase 1 is that we do an 8-hour advanced technique seminar. This is for all current staff that is employed on our apartment communities. Phase 2 of the program is our site survey. This is actually what we look at the property as a whole. And then last but not least, phase 3 is what we call safety social. This is when we finally get the residents involved. I'll break those down for you a little bit farther. Program content, phase 1, free training. We absolutely do not want to charge for this. We want you to be there. We want you to be involved in the program because you want to, and you want to better the community and the fact that you own or run an apartment community. We want you to go above and beyond. So what we do is we offer an 8-hour advanced technique management seminar. We go over different topics throughout the seminar. We talk about screening, leases, what type of evictions are here in the county and how they work. We talk about current drug trends that we may be finding in Kansas City that our maintenance staff may be running into in different units. We talk about overall safety. We talk about CPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design. I'll get more into that for you. And then last but not least, we talk about the role of law enforcement, how it works within our department, how our calls work, and then what we do as crime-free multi-housing per what our patrol units do. Sometimes some of our maintenance and our management staff, this may be the only training that they attend or go through once they get hired to become a property manager. Program content as far as phase 2 goes. Phase 1 is for our management and our staff to get them trained up. Phase 2 is for the property. We give a complete free safety and security survey. I am fully certified in CPTED, which is crime prevention through environmental design. I have many, many hours. Thank you, department. Thank you, city, for allowing me the training that I've gotten. Basically, this is, if we were to go out as a private entity or a company, we could charge probably about $10,000 for the site surveys that we provide for our apartment communities to better overall, to make the things on the property and address the issues and make them better and more safe for our residents that live in them. We're looking at for non-crime issues. There's 9 minimum requirements that you must meet to pass phase 2 of our program. Number 1 is you must be at the city code before we address anything further. Addressing target hardening, such as your doors, your locks, your controlled access areas. We're looking at, most importantly, the lighting, and then also landscaping issues, the direction of paths that you may go to in and out, whether it be driveway, walkways, entryways, breezeways, common areas, playground areas, pools, fencing, all the above we're looking at as far as the phase 2 of the program. Last but not least, phase 3, one of our very most important phases of the program, what we call safety social. This is our chance to speak to the residents. We go out, we usually do a barbecue of some sort or a pool opening or a pool closing that the property is doing or some type of event that they set up, maybe a Halloween event. And we go out and we basically stress what they've done on the property as far as joining this program, that they basically went above and beyond for their safety, for their residents, and we try to help them be involved as well. But basically, you see something, say something, be involved in the property. This is your home. Yes, you may rent, but it is still your home, and we can all work together and make it safer as we work together. Attempt to create a neighborhood-style atmosphere, just like we do in our own neighborhoods at home, whether if we own or rent. Benefits to the property. What do they get out of it? Why are they joining the crime-free multi-housing program? Each phase has a certification that's completed, and they get to post that in the office. We have a screening tool that we like to use. We take a picture with our property managers and let them post it up and frame it in their office. Usually if you walk in and you see that you're already friends with the KCPD and part of the program, that's a good screening tool right there if you're up to no good. So that kind of gives that leeway into that. We give you the limited copyright release to the property signs. In Kansas City, we actually provide these free of charge as well. We like the free aspect of what our program does provide. The benefits ongoing for the property, reduction of liability, fewer calls and complaints, reduced damages, less resident turnover, increased property values. What are the benefits to the residents? Reduced fear of crime, overall safer living environment, reduced costs, better relationship with management, and better relationship with law enforcement or your local police department. And what are the benefits to us as the PD? Reduction of calls, overall reduction of crime. It's very cost effective. You're just paying my salary to be out there and work with all my properties that I work with in Metro. Good and great PR for our department and what we do. Improved intelligent exchange as far as us sharing information with each other back and forth. Maybe they're having a problem with the issue, something that we can go above and beyond and help them with. or in exchange, our tenants are having issues with ownership or management, so that we can follow up with them and help them solve the issue as well, and improve relationship with the community and other agencies. Just a quick success story from my division. I don't know if all of you may be familiar with Friendship Village Apartments, located at 56 Terrace and Swope. Since 1990, this area has been a major problem area with lots of violence, numerous homicides, very high calls for service. Just like the whole aspect of it started in Mesa, Arizona in 92, I would have put this property up with what he was dealing with in Mesa. So property went through a major rehab, which included the input of us as Crime-Free Multi-Housing, the ownership, management, and all of us working together to make this property awesome the way it is right now. Currently, they very few calls to the property. They have a 300-person waiting list currently. And I do have a brief video that Channel 9 did in regard to us on the property, and I thought I'd like to show that to you.
This is Friendship Village at 56th and Swope Parkway. It's a place people want to live. It's full with a 3 to 4 year waiting list, but it wasn't always like this.
We had a long history of numerous homicides that occurred on the property, ongoing outside disturbances, some drug sales, a lot of drive-through traffic, stolen autos that were dumped here.
That's when Friendship Village joined Kansas City's crime-free multi-housing program.
Yeah, I'll get her in a 3-bedroom.
Led by Officer Aaron McKee, managers went through crime prevention training, and the apartment complex went through a major overhaul inside and out.
It's just a night and day change from the landscaping, from the playground area that they built, to the community involvement that they have.
There's now up-to-date security, including an extensive new lighting system to deter crime 24/7. Officer McKee also credits the property manager, who treats this place like her home with no tolerance for crime, and residents know it.
Something's going on and you tell her, she gets it fixed immediately. So with everything that used to go on, Miss Kathy does not play it. You know, if you want a safe environment, make that place a safe environment. Simple as that.
Friendship Village has now been certified a crime-free community.
I stay here because of that, because of the ongoing success stories and the things that I've been able to change within my community. Makes me feel good as far as an officer, but as a human being. So Metro Patrol, by the numbers, if I break it down a little farther for you, currently we have 83 properties in Metro Patrol Division. 68 of those properties are actively participating in our program. Of the 68, 6 are fully certified properties. We've been able to reduce the reduction of calls annually within the first 2 years of the crime-free property activity, which is involved in the program, and has shown that we can reduce overall numbers by just our constant communication by 60 to 85% with just our hands-on approach that we're doing as far as the program is concerned. Managers and maintenance staff that we've trained since 2005 is well over 200,000, or excuse me, 2,000. And then as well as not only doing our training for the management and maintenance staff, we do training every May for police officers as well. This is a 3-day course that they attend in regard to our training, and we've done over 500 officers since 2005, and to include KCPD and our outside agencies. Why is this program successful? The use of civil law to reduce calls, the use of the crime-free lease addendum, one-on-one contacts with management, support system for management and residents, and it's very low cost to management. The biggest cost that they may see in regard to our surveys is improvement of lighting, which is sometimes costly.
What's the crime-free lease addendum?
It's an attachment basically saying that they sign their lease, their current lease, we have a secondary lease that's the crime-free lease addendum. They basically say they won't be involved on the property or away from the property in any type of drug activity, violence, or whatever, or it could be a violation of their current lease. And what do we do as far as Crime-Free Multi-Housing Officers. We liaison on a daily basis with our property managers. Most of my managers are waiting by 11 a.m. on Monday morning to hear from me. So if they haven't heard from me, they're already reaching out so that I will follow up with them. So it goes hand in hand, and we're on a first name basis, which is fantastic. And we handle complaints from managers and residents. I get my inbox is usually full from my residents. They're saying, they have this issue or this happened over the weekend. Can you please contact me to follow up and see if we can help with management or ownership follow up on this issue? We provide intelligent information to other law enforcement agencies and other units within our own department. And then we manage and maintain the program constantly. We conduct advanced management technique seminars on a bi-monthly basis. They're all over the city. Usually what we do is each one of our units that's in Metro, East, Center, North, South, we all take a turn as being the host so that we make sure that we hit all parts of the city to have this training and hold this training, so it makes it easier for people to come to and get the training that we offer. Work with the city, state, and federal officials to improve housing. I used to be part of the Housing Coalition in Jeff City, as far as getting that information out and updating stuff that needs to be improved in regard to our housing issues. Train other officers and agencies on this crime-free multi-housing program. We are the head and lead agency within KC Metro area that trains our suburban area departments, and I've had the opportunity to pretty much train all of them that are connected here to Kansas City. So I'm proud of that fact as well. More on what we do. We plan conferences, numerous in Kansas City. We've had the opportunity to host the International Crime-Free Conference twice, 2009, and the last one was in 2014. This is with the help of our department, along with our not-for-profit, which is attached to the Crime-Free Multi-Housing Program, which is Mid-America Crime-Free Incorporated. And we attend weekly crime meetings to discuss current issues and properties with our officers and command staff every Tuesday at 2 o'clock. I'm involved in our division to pass along information and work with my commander in regard to issues that may come up within our department, so that we can actually share it with our officers as well and keep them updated with that information. Update information as the program is needed. Every January, we do a 3-day in-service training that we do to improve our presentations, update information, anything that's new that we found, new ideas, new concepts. We constantly changing the program and updating it, because we ask all of our staff, our people that we've trained, to come back every 2 years. So we want to make sure it's new and fresh, and it's new ideas that we're throwing at them. And then we attend training to increase our knowledge. Of course, just like I said, I got my CEPTED certification, which is a very hard and tough thing to get sometimes, but it was very challenging, but I'm glad that I have it now. That is what I will end with, and I'll open it up to any questions if you have any.
This is real community policing, and I commend you on it. How do you handle properties that don't have on-site management?
Usually by email, and the ownership will respond. So usually I send a letter officially to them from our department, with our department letterhead, reach out to them, advise them of what this program is, that I'm currently having some type of issue with their property, and if they'd follow up with me. Most of the time it's, out of state or not local, and then I try to get them to have some type of area contact that we can, be familiar with, but usually by email or phone.
My thought is, how do you then organize that community if they don't have, like the lady at Friendship seems to be, a real partner?
That is our number one issue. The more that we can get our ownership and management involved, the better that seems that the property goes. The more out of touch people that own properties that are not involved, it's very, very hard.
Even though we're running long, I'll just briefly commend you. I only have 2 sisters. Both of them lived at Friendship Village, and 4 of my nieces and nephews in the mid-2000s. And it was a troubled place. You'll remember it.
Yes.
And so just seeing that video now of what we've been able to do is something quite impressive. I'll share it with them too, because I don't know if they'll believe it from 15 years ago.
Yeah. Take a drive through. It's very, very nice.
This is a good program, and Commissioner, to your point, we do have rotation and ownership of our multi-housing units. That helps sometimes. Like we will have a management company that we know of that's not so engaged, and lo and behold, they'll sell and get a management group that we're very engaged with, and that allows us an opportunity to make a big difference. So, and all of this kind of cycles, but I think that the idea is it gives them someone to reach out to when we make notification, and they know they can call Aaron or one of the other multi-crime free housing officers to talk about whatever they need to engage with and how far they want to go in the program. But in all of these units, we know that if we don't engage in some capacity, what we find out is these units quickly go downhill, and that's what we don't want to happen. We want property values to stay up. We want people to have great conditions to live in, and that's the goal. And so I would think that this program has affected a lot of lives in Kansas City.
Do you encourage the apartment managers to install cameras?
If that's what they're looking at, I can give advice in regard to what they would like and how they might get placed, or what type of units that might be out there. There's a few companies that are out that we currently work with that operate on a monthly fee rather than an initial fee, which I find that it's a lot better out there these days, because if you're paying a monthly fee, they're going to upgrade their systems routinely, make sure that they're well maintenance, and they actually do the video clippings for it, which helps us in our investigations as well, because I get those direct emails about the edits. Hey, this occurred. What is this information? Now I quickly have access to it. But yes, we'll discuss it if they reach out for it, but we're not throwing it at them in regard to our program, no. Any other questions? Perfect. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And that concludes my report.
Oh,
Yep.
thank you. Deputy Chief Michael Hicks.
Good afternoon. The personnel summary is under tab D. As of November 30th, KCPD has a total workforce of 1,732 employees. This includes 1,191 law enforcement members, 26 academy recruits, 510 non-sworn employees, and of course, our 5 board members. This is 114 employees less than in 2020 and 294 employees less than the budgeted strength. As we all know, December is a pretty heavy retirement month, and we're not seeing any difference this year. By December 31st, KCPD will have reduced by another 41 members, for a total workforce of 1,691 employees by January 1st. That's 1,163 law enforcement members. We'll continue to have the 26 recruits. We'll be down to 497 non-sworn employees and the board members. The last time KCPD had a workforce this small was in the early 1980s. Since December 31st, 2020, KCPD has lost 155 members. In 2021, KCPD has hired 84 new employees. 26 of those are the recruits we have now. In 2020, KCPD hired 111 new members. We anticipate hiring to continue in 2022 to include more law enforcement and filling more of our non-sworn positions. We've been filling more of our positions in our lab. As I reported earlier in the year, the crime lab was down a significant amount of staff. We have multiple new professionals that are in our hiring process to replenish our scientific stack at the lab, which will help boost or speed up our times in solving crimes. Are there any questions? Now I'll move on to my second topic, and that is the Source One Discovery Manager. The company Dell EMC reported to us that they're going to stop supporting this system in 2024. Source One is a suite of software that KCPD uses to store archive data for state requirements and risk management. KCPD is going to have to identify a new vendor, not only to continue to archive this data, which includes emails and all types of data KCPD has, but also to look at how to migrate this information we have now over to a new system. And we believe that RFP process is probably the best way to do that, since we've used Source One for over a decade now, and Dell has just decided not to use the product, not to service the product anymore. So we're going to have to go to an RFP to find a new vendor.
One of the things I wanted Mike to bring this up for is because obviously it's outside of the budget, right? Outside of the budget cycle. So we don't know where we're going to be. We're hoping that we have plenty of time, that all this will get worked out, but we have been in this position before and things have gotten cut rather quickly. So we're hoping that we have time. I just wanted the board to be aware that we're going to be looking at these IT needs as we go along. This is an important software program, as it does all our sunshine requests, other things like that we get outside requests for. So it's pretty important.
So when anyone makes a sunshine request, we have to use this software to do the searches.
Yes.
And if we didn't have the software, it would take individuals looking at every single email.
You couldn't.
It would be almost impossible.
Yeah, you couldn't. You couldn't do it without software.
Okay.
Just wanted the board to be aware. We're working on it, but wanted you to be aware.
Well, it's something we have to do.
It could potentially be an 18-month project, because when you consider migrating data that's under this format to another company who may want it under this format, that we've been through this before. If you remember our RMS system, we had Tiburon. We had to migrate all that data over to our new niche system, and that took 18 months to get that done. So now's the time to get started.
So basically, you just release it on RFP to start.
Yes, we'll work with the fiscal division, and we'll get working on what that RFP will look like and get it out sometime in 22.
Thank you.
That concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Business items for approval, Executive Services Bureau.
Yes, sir. Good morning. Before I start, I want to update you on the radios. We talked about it. You asked for an update on the radios. I gave you a list. It's not in your board book, but it's a list of all of the radios that's serviced by our radio folks down at the shop. If you total that up, it's broken down by portable radios and mobile radios. The portable radios be the handheld, basically walkie-talkies. The mobile radios are our fixed assets inside of vehicles. Obviously, ourself and the fire department have the most, but these are all of the other city departments that use the radio system. For a total, if you add both of those up, portable radios, there's 3,255 radios, portable radios in the city. There's 1,524 mobile radios in the city for a total of 4,779 radios. Now, we're responsible, KCPD is just responsible for the numbers that you see at the top. As we talked before, we're going to be in discussions of getting a new radio system. I'm happy to say I've talked with city staff. I was on a phone call with the city manager's office, along with Captain Kobanall, myself, the city manager's office, and others, in contact with the fire chief. They've been testing their radios, and I think they're coming to a decision on what they're going to do with their radio system. And then once again, the city staff on how we're going to proceed with ours. So I just wanted to give that update. You asked for how many radios we have in the city, and that's the numbers that we have.
So if the fire department chooses a system, that's the one that we have to use or should use? What are you saying?
Not necessarily. There's really two vendors out there. They're testing. Obviously, as I talked to the fire chief, and she said, their radios have to have a bigger antenna when they're inside of a structure fire, things like that. Ours are obviously not going to be the same as theirs. So we will have to go through a process much like they did to see what best fits our needs. So they're a little bit ahead of us when it comes to testing and other things.
They need to work together, right?
They'll work together. This is just a vendor, so they'll be able to work together depending on the system itself. This is just the mobile, in-car, and the walkie-talkies, so they can talk with the system. It's just a vendor that they're choosing.
We want,
The
we want,
9.9 million or 9 million, whatever it was, does that include all of the radios or just ours?
Ours. That would be ours. And that also included some additional command post bus radios, things of that nature too. That was a full process with that. So
To do the whole thing, it's going to be almost double.
no, I don't. I think that 9.9 included all of these radios that you're seeing just for us, just for KCPD, and then some mobile command radios. So that's the update. The next item, it's not in the book. We've worked really hard on a special order for salary scale adjustments. The fiscal division, along with many others on this department, have been working on this special order for weeks, working hard to try to figure this out. And I think the chief is going to speak to the special order.
Yeah, as we've discussed before about our attrition rate and having the higher rate of attrition. So last year, we didn't hire a lot of people. We didn't have academy classes. This year we held hiring for the first quarter to find out if we were going to have enough money to make it through the year. And then we did a projection after the second quarter, which we opened up our civilian hiring. And I think, we have a 26 members in the academy class. But due to the amount of people leaving and the increase or the decrease of what we projected in overtime for this year, we have money to spend on salaries. So what we're proposing is, I think we've talked to the board before about adjusting the pay scales and trying to make that correct, which would make us more competitive across the board for hiring and recruiting of new members, and then give all our employees a pay raise as they go through. So we think this is a good plan. We feel confident that given the projection where we are in the year and how much time we have left, that we can make our funding by the end of the year. So we're proposing that we implement this, and then it would take place sometime in January, in the first week, I believe, in January, for our members, January 14th. They would see it.
Well, I mean,
we've all,
I think, they deserve it and need it, and it's important to recognize them for, staying with us and also the ability to attract new recruits. We've talked about it.
I agree.
I definitely agree, but I think we need to see it in writing.
Yeah, I would move approval if I knew just a few more facts. Basically, the value, what's the cost for us?
It's about $2.6 million, I believe. It's going to be the cost.
And then you're estimating that that's from savings due to non-payment of overtime, among other.
And attrition just by having open positions, correct?
So it's in effect for January. I actually would just move approval on that, because your writing would simply be what you just told us.
Well, the writing in it would be, it would say like step A will move from this amount to this amount, step B to this amount. I mean, it's technical of what the exact special order is for our people, but it would go with our pay scale, which we have on our intranet so our employees can see the pay scales. So it will, I can say this, it will touch every employee. Some employees will get more than others depending on how much the pay scale need to get adjusted. It will put us back in line to have the 5% gap between ranks. So it will do things like that to help us conform to what we would like our pay scales to look like.
I second the motion to approve.
So maybe you made the motion. All right. You've heard the motion. All in favor by sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed by no. Ayes have it.
Thank you.
Right.
And thanks to staff for getting this done. They worked hard on it.
So now all my items are under tab A in your book. Item number 1 is budget transfers. A transfer from the general fund in the amount of $2,650,000 within personnel services and $150,000 with contractual services. The second transfer It's in the police grant fund for $151,000 from contractual services, $100,000 to personal services, and $41,000 to commodities, with $10,000 to capital outlay. I think it's on the back of the sheet and the specifics. To address the major transfer, that is salaries from officers who are retiring that will be transferring to their separation pay account when we pay them when they leave. So that's the major transfer, is to pay them for all the retirement, or excuse me, all the retirements that are occurring.
I move
May
approval.
I ask?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, just a quick question, because I always have to talk to the colonel about finance issues. So the separation pay program, we have a structured payout, and someone's getting kind of whatever their years of service added up with vacation, all of that. And so this transfer largely from salaries and personal services that we're likely not paying right now because these people aren't staffed will go to help support, I guess, the payouts. Yes.
That's exactly what we're taking those salaries, putting it into moving over to the separation pay account, which is exactly what you just said. When they retire.
All right. Second.
All right. Been moving second. All in favor by sign of aye.
Aye.
Opposed by no. Ayes have it.
Thank you. The second item is Jackson County drug tax, the combat fund. We have been awarded an additional $78,269 from combat, and I would request the acceptance of that money.
Move approval.
My only question is, it says November 21st to December 31st. Does it have to be spent in a month?
Yes, that's the end of it's going to be going to, or for contractual, community outreach. Is that correct? There's a community outreach contract that we're doing. So it's already, that's why we got the additional money.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
I just needed a clarification on that.
Yes.
Was there a motion?
Yes, I moved
Second.
approval.
All right. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor by sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed by no. Ayes have it. All right.
The third and final item is unappropriated Bureau of Justice Assistance Grant, which is COVID relief funds. The department received approximately $2 million in relief funds. This is a total of $186,976 that will be unappropriated and sent back to the city of funds that we did not use out of the $2 million, and they're going to be spending that on supplies that they have.
I move approval.
Second.
For the motion, all in favor by sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed by no. Ayes have it.
That completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Professional Development and Research Bureau.
Good morning, just barely. You'll find my information under tab B. Before I get to the consent agenda items, I'll start with an academy update. The 172nd graduated last week. We started with 14, finished with 5. That was all outside agencies, though. The 173rd EOC. I'm sorry.
Tab B as in
Tab
boy.
B as in boy. Sorry. The 173rd class is still scheduled to graduate in March. There's 13 regional recruits in that. And as of this morning, we're down to 25 Kansas City, but the one that we're recycling, the one in hopes of we're going to offer them a civilian spot. Missed a lot of time due to illness. Still wants to come back. So hopefully that gets me to, we'll start the 174th class in February. And if approved for Kansas City recruits, he or she will be part of that class. We're currently looking for that class in February to consist of 18 to 20 regional recruits, and hopefully, if approved, 30 to 35 Kansas City recruits in that class. And HR is currently working on the pool to have those candidates ready if we can get that class going.
So I have a quick question on that. I know we can take capacity-wise 60 in that class.
Yes.
So can we up those numbers or we're just not getting applicants?
We shot for the 30 and or 35, trying to be realistic. I would think if we could get upwards of 40 or 45 of a pool to pull from, we would try to get more and get it closer to that. 55 to 60 is really optimum, but no more than 60.
Our recruiting efforts are putting us at that 30 range. While we have seen an uptick in applicants for police officer, it's not back to the way it was several years ago. We're seeing lots of positive improvement in all types of individuals wanting to become police officers. Something that I would like to comment about that happened just moments ago is you raised the entry-level pay for police officer. That will help us. Just last week, we lost 2 potential academy recruits because the pay just wasn't there, and we had approved them to go, and they left. So now we'll be able to communicate to potential candidates that our base pay in the academy and once you get out is now higher. And hopefully we can retain those. We've already said you're going to get to go to the academy February 7th, and we'll be able to retain those.
And part of that is we have the pool we have, but we also have to make sure we have the money. We feel comfortable we have the money for 30 to 35. We got to make sure we have, if we want to get closer to 40, that we have that money. So that's what we're looking into. If there are no more questions about the academy, I'll move on to the youth services update for November. I'll have a few slides as I go through the information. 887 kids attended the PAL Center in the month of November, and we served over 800 meals in November from the PAL Center. Officer Hennigan gave a presentation to the Boy Scout troops at 6400 Charlotte. It's something we do if our staffing and our time allows. We try to get out into the community if anybody asks and make presentations to any organization that wants it. And this was just an example of one that we were able to do. There were 5 DARE graduations in November. Well over 200 children participated in these classes and went on to graduate. And the particular schools are listed as Sergeant Clark goes through the slides. And I'll talk more about it because there's more graduations coming up next month. We discussed last month the PAL Gala event that we had last month in November, and it was very successful. So another thing we did in November was the PAL staff, along with Commissioner Kramer, delivered holiday meals to 15 families that might not otherwise have been able to enjoy Thanksgiving. And it's not just a small meal. It's enough to feed a family of up to 15. So they gave a lot of food away, even though it's to 15 families. A lot of people benefited from it.
That was great.
And the last slide is a list of events that are coming up in December. I told you all last month that I would start giving you that in hopes that as your schedules allow, you can participate. I will say we already had PAL had their big Christmas event last week. Several hundred kids benefited from it. They gave out gifts and a lot of other stuff, and I'll go into more detail next month about what all went on with that. But I think it's important to say a lot of the kids got gifts and stuff and a lot of other stuff, and we'll show you that. But one of the neat things was those kids stood in line. It was a long line. They stood there for quite some time, and it was to go downstairs into the PAL Center and receive or be able to pick out gifts to give to their parents. And those are probably the only gifts that could be the only gifts that their parents get. But the kids were as excited, if not more, to get those gifts and be able to give them to their parents as they were to receive their gifts for themselves. It's really neat to see.
How do you know what kind of gifts to have downstairs for the parents?
The PAL staff works with, Cerner was a big part of this, and they have a pile of gifts for moms and a pile of gifts for dads, and the kids get to pick and choose. So it's pretty neat. It really is.
Yeah, and there must have been about 400 kids there. It was really neat seeing the smiles on their face. And then they had the different choices for the kids to pick from, and they could see what it was. And then they got to pick out the packet that was already wrapped, and they just put their label on it, and it was all ready to go. It was really
And
special.
there was pizza there for everybody. They could go to a table and get stuff to decorate, cookies, and take it home. Gifts, stocking caps, gloves. Just Cerner is a big partner in this. It was just a very, very nice event. And that will conclude my presentation for the youth services. If there are no questions, I'll move to the consent agenda items, of which there are two. The first is personnel actions and salary adjustments. And if there are no questions, I would ask for approval.
I move approval.
Second.
All in favor by sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed by no. Ayes have it.
And the second and final is the Fraternal Order of Police Lodge 99 Peer Support Specialist.
One question on that.
Yep.
I think it said members, and I wanted to clarify whether that's sworn and non-sworn or
It's
just.
everybody.
All right, good.
I move approval.
Second.
Been moving second. All in favor by aye.
Aye.
All opposed by no. Ayes have it.
That's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. Holly Dodge has she's not on the agenda, but there's a open session item under tab F that needs to be talked about. Please hit your mic so we can hear you there.
Good afternoon. I am under tab F. This time, all I have is the summary from the month. We have no further items. I submit.
Of course, we don't need to vote on this, do we?
Nope.
Okay, but let me ask a question. How often do the police go to the range to qualify?
Well, we're mandated to go twice a year, and we do day and night fire in both of those. So, and then shotgun also. And then we have open range days on Fridays where we try and encourage employees as they can throughout the year to go and practice shoot. And they'll turn the targets twice during that time period. So people want to do the qualification course, they can, or if they just want to practice, they can.
So they're only required to do that twice a year.
Twice a year.
How about for security guards? Is it the same or is it once an annual thing?
I think it's annually, but I'm not sure.
I think it's annually, but I can't answer that question. I'll look it up. I'll get it to you.
Thank you. Need a motion?
We don't have to approve it.
No, we don't need to approve. All right, thank you. Office of Community Complaints. Merrill Bennigan.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I don't have a report. I just wanted to give an update. On last month, we talked about the Citizen Advisory Committee, and there was a bit of confusion regarding some communications that had occurred. I was able to reach out to the Chamber of Commerce and also to the Civic Council. We were talking about the same thing, just different aspects of it. So we're on the same page. Mr. Mayor, I apologize for any confusion that may have arisen out of that discussion, but I think we're good. So I think we'll be ready to move forward with the construct of that group at the beginning of the year. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. We are going to do public comments. You'll notice there's a board there that has 2 minutes. We have several on the list today, so I'm going to ask you to please hold your comments to 2 minutes and watch the clock. First person is Shade Owls.
Hello, everyone.
Morning.
Hello to all my awesome officers here. I just want to thank you guys. Actually, I am amazed. I'm just impressed expect what I watched. I did not expect what I was
Speaking to the
watching here.
microphone for us so we can hear you.
Oh.
Thank you.
My name is Sede Locust, that's my name. Officers, as I was saying, I appreciate everything that you guys been doing, and I'm watching this, I'm like, wow, we don't see this on the news. Locust
Right.
don't talk about this stuff.
Right.
But I just want to tell you guys how appreciative I am of you for what you guys do every single day, despite of the bad mouth, despite of the name calling, despite of the accusing you. Well, you're the criminals now, right? That's all we know, including Lucas. And guys, please give me time. I already told her my issue, all right? But last time I was here, I was much nervous. I'm nervous right now. And the reason why I'm not afraid of the officers. The reason I'm nervous because I had a father. My father taught me at the age of 2 years old that when you walk in a room filled with law officers, you have to give them respect. Law and order is very important, okay? That is why when I came in here the first time, I was nervous, but I'm not afraid of them because you know what? They are heroes. They may not have kept on, but they are my heroes, okay? So I'm just gonna stick with this stuff right here. And I'm a little nervous right now, but I think I'm gonna do a lot better today because I did some good bullet points, okay? Even though I just thank all of you, but I like to apologize also, okay? I like to apologize because of the nasty politics that is going around the country, including our Kansas City Police Department. Great guys and women, men and women, and all over the nation. All right, you don't deserve this. It's a lie.
We have a
Okay,
whole
so
list.
okay, I'm gonna go on. But the one that actually hurt
Your
me
time
was
is up. I'm sorry.
okay. The one that actually hurt me was Lucas blamed you guys for gun violence. Maybe he'd been watching the movie Ghost with Sam and Whoopi Goldberg. The gun doesn't get up and pull the trigger. Criminals do. And the kids that they were talking about, not all of them are kids, honey. They're grown like you. And then when you went on Fox News, you had a meeting with, what's his name? Your brother that just left Fox News. I watched you. At first, I was angry at you. And I mean, were you there? I don't hate, but you know what? You disgust me. You're on stage 4 cancer of Kansas City. Okay, you should be ashamed of yourself to bring this wonderful chief out here and lie against her. Who right to walk in here and insult this man, and you don't say anything? They call him murderer, rapist. Do they have proof? Well, I know
We have to call our next person. We have to call our next person.
If you look up Ivory Coast and you saw the city, you would not be able to listen. Well, look at this. It is a village of raising children. Well, guess what? I was born in West Africa. I went to the village one time. One time, my dad raised me. And guess what? When I came there, I bust my butt and I worked very hard. So
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you too. But let me finish.
Your time is up. All right.
She said white people actually do the phone app for babies, right? This is not she want to take me. I watch that right here. The white officer, you got the white people give the babies chocolate and cookies only to kill them. You the same white people kill them. Like they will have a red shirt and jeans and like what? And then she turned around and said, "Oh, Jesus Christ was a black," and the officer like getting Jesus Christ. Guess what? Officers, and she said, "We name you guys officer, but Jesus Christ named you peacemakers." Okay? And he said, "Blessed are the peacemakers who shall be called."
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ma'am. 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 Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Steve Young. Steve Young. Next speaker is Steve Young.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. My name is Steve. I'm the co-founder of Friday Night Protest and KC Lead. So I'm gonna start out by saying we got the bad guy. Those are words spoken by the chief of police after his detective had just killed Cameron Lamb. Words spoken before he even knew the details of the shooting. Words spoken without even knowing who Cameron was. Rick Smith didn't question his detective, never gave a thought of Cameron's humanity, or even if Cameron's rights had been violated by his detective. This is the kind of leadership we have been witness to since Rick Smith was appointed chief of police. He has allowed his officers to terrorize my community. This is terrible leadership, and it has enabled his cops to go unchecked for years. When there is no integrity at the top, why would there be any throughout the ranks? The police should be held to a higher standard. Rick Smith has backed cops who continue to use excessive force against the communities they patrol. He has tried to cover up a murder by not supplying a probable cause statement to the prosecutor. Isn't it a crime if one of us covered up a murder? Why is it not when the chief of police does? Rick, you are the glue that helps a terrorist organization like KCPD continue to exist. And the BOPC has been the cover you needed to continue this incapacity. It's a crime to allow both of you to continue the harm you have inflicted on our community. BOPC, do your job and be our voice. Rick Smith should be walked out of this building right now. You all know it. Do your job and protect the people. Rick Smith is a danger to the people, and he should not be allowed to leave on his own. Oh, also, Rick, by the way, we got the bad guy. DeVolcanier is going to jail. And if there was a such thing as justice, you would be right behind him.
Thank you. Rachel Thomas. Is Rachel Thomas here? And Agil Bay, you're up next. Agil Bay, I'm sorry. Yes.
So, my name is Rachel Thomas. I have spent a lot of time trying to put together what I want to say, what I need to say. And I'm sure I'll be staying up at night thinking about more what I could say. What I want to say, though, is that Rick Smith, the Vulcaneer, is going to prison. The bad guy is the Vulcaneer. I just wanted to stand up here and support the Black Lives Matter and the Friday night protest. And that's, I am disappointed in the Board of Police Commission for letting this go on. You are being complicit in murder. That is it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Akil Bey, Aqilbey. I'm gonna go briefly through this real quickly anyway. On December 3rd, 2019, my son was shot and killed by Detective Eric DeValconet, a 20-year veteran of the KCPD. On 12/3 also, Chief Smith called my son the bad guy after they killed him. Jason Johnson from the Legal Defense Fund says that what DeValconet did was heroic, and goes on to say that he never seen a case like this come close to having criminal charges brought against an officer, despite the fact there was no info of a crime, no weapon, no warrant, no probable cause, no permission to enter the property, in violation of his Fourth Rights Amendments. On June 2019, Brad Lemon stated that the shooting was justified, although Cameron had no weapon and DeValconet had no warrant, no probable cause, no permission to be on the property, and he violated Cameron's Fourth Amendment rights. Don Parson, the attorney for DeValconet, stated that any officer, same outcome. Eric DeValconet himself stated that all officers in his situation would have done the same thing, letting you know that this is normal practice within the KCPD department to go on after someone, even on their own property, and murder them with no info of a crime, no proof of a weapon, no warrant, no probable cause. Cameron had 3 children he was trying to provide for. Because the chief of police allowed this type of behavior, DeValconet snatched the life out of Cameron. Chief Smith, you need to resign. The FBI Department of Justice need to come in here and shut this place down. And some of these old cases need to be reinvestigated. The sloppiness of the crime scene investigators, the officer that allowed Cameron to bleed out, more charges should be brought against other officers, so they may as well lawyer up. This is the first time in the history of KCPD an officer has been charged and committed of involuntary manslaughter and armed criminal action. So this type of treatment from the KCPD has been going on a long time, but now a change has got to come.
Indigenous Eye and Lara McDonald, next 2 speakers.
Public safety is a term used too loosely in here. It's not real considering how public comment was intentionally made last on the taxpayer's agenda. Making our community safe, quote unquote, is a dog whistle politic because you don't live where we live. You lived up north since Brown versus Board. The Revolutionary Black Panthers and the Black community at large stand ready to defend the lives of our people and our community by any means necessary. This means the people will be monitoring the pigs in the performance of their duties and are constitutionally ready to defend Black and poor lives from excessive force, brutality, and murder, since you all refuse to, okay? The public deserves public trust. You give awards when police kill members of the community. The department is one of the worst in the country, according to a recent accountability study in the summer of 21. But y'all say this department is doing quote unquote great work to the public. This department traditionally hires people that are foreign to Kansas City's urban culture, and you add to the city's already increased murder rate. That is not public safety. That is colonization and foreign occupation. Point number 7 of the 10-point program says that we demand an end to the murder and brutality of all Black people. That is not a suggestion, and that is not a platitude, okay? We, the concerned citizens of Kansas City, are calling our mayor, also a member of your board, to call to a vote. The undersigned organizational bodies of concerned citizens in Kansas City, Missouri, are demanding that Mayor Quentin Lucas, as a member of the Board of Police Commissioners, make a motion on behalf of the citizens at this Board of Police Commissioners meeting. Number 1, we want the KCPD moniker changed from quote unquote to protect and serve to be changed to protect and serve citizens and patrons of the greater Kansas City, Missouri area, not protecting the blue. The good old boy system is dead. We demand the immediate removal of any and all named officers from the patrol sectors where he or she has been a civil liability and has undercut public confidence in the department. We also demand that the current Chief of Police, Richard Smith, be ordered to step down immediately. We, the members of the public, are making it known that this individual that has been reportedly in good standing with this board has violated a number of policy and procedures. As an employee, no less than 10. He needs to be fired and walked out of here immediately. All power to the people.
I'm Laura McDonald. I'm the Executive Director of Metro Organization for Racial and Economic Equity. I watched the last Board of Police Commission meeting with you all, and you may know that we at Moore Squared are committed to collapsing your entity here. We believe in local control, and we will continue to fight for restoring a democracy into this community. Although you are essentially meaningless in creating change, when things get stated on public record that are harmful to the community, we feel the need to come out and correct the record. So to set the record straight, last month, Councilwoman Robinson, said this, in order to restore community trust, there has to be autonomy given to the Office of Community Complaints. And the Board of Police Commissioners, you should be the only entity that can override a recommendation by the OCC. And then you said, Commissioner Dean, no one else can override the OCC but this board. So I'm going to shoot out some facts real quick in my last minute. May 26, 2019, an unarmed Terrence Bridges was killed by one Officer Dylan Pfeiffer, and it was all picked up on dash cam audio. 9 days later, Pfeiffer returned to work at the hands of Chief Smith. On November 14th, Pfeiffer was the officer who handcuffed a child who was 15 at the Go Chicken Go, while Sergeant Neal, who was later indicted, was assaulting him. Later, in the memo that I have, it says, written from Chief Smith's office on letterhead, it says, dated April 23rd, 2020, in the attached OCC complaint, and it references the policy number. It actually says that if the chief disagrees with a recommendation of OCC, the chief may request reconsideration. And he did that in the case of Pfeiffer. He actually unsubstantiated the complaint against Dylan Pfeiffer, who assaulted a 15-year-old kid with Sergeant Matthew Neal, and he killed Terrence Bridges without a word, not a single command. And you have allowed that to be okay. It's happened on your watch. You inherited this, Don Kramer. Now you get to decide whether to do what's right. But you white people up here, you aren't doing right. You aren't doing right by this community. If that was a 15-year-old white girl who went to St. Teresa's who was assaulted at Chick-fil-A instead of Go Chicken Go, you would be up in arms like we are, right? The reality is he gets away with whatever he wants. You uphold it, and there are 2 black men on this board who tried to do something about it. 2. What are you going to do about it? Nothing, because you say we when you talk about this department. You never say us, the community. Who speaks for us on this board?
Thank you.
Who speaks for us on this board? Who will speak for this community? We don't have a democracy, and I am recommitting today to taking over this department.
Cheryl Ferguson and Timothy Gridiron are in the next 2 speakers. Cheryl Ferguson, she's coming, and P.O. Timothy Gridiron will be next.
While we're waiting, I can answer that it's annually for private officers.
All right, thank you.
What you got in the Kool-Aid, Rick? What do you have in the Kool-Aid? Only reason why you guys missed me last month was because I was in the hospital. But what I didn't get a chance to say to you should have heard loud and clear the following Thursday, when one of your officers, who so arrogantly was telling jokes and laughing before he got the verdict of guilty. Not once during that trial was there ever an apology to the mother grieving the loss of her son. And like it was just previously stated, the attorney as well as the officer said that's the way that they are trained. He was very shocked. You have another trial that's coming up that you've already admitted guilt by paying out $725,000 for. Why is the officer even going to trial? You've already admitted his guilt. You have other cases that are also forthcoming, and you've got a big one that's coming as soon as the special prosecutor's done. All of this has been done under that man's watch. Any other city with any integrity would have already made the move to get rid of the top cop that is authorizing, because when you don't stop bad behavior, it grows like cancer. Hitler's army also thought he was a good man. Hitler's army also thought he was a good man. Hitler's army. 40% of you on the board are also complicit with racism, because I know that you live in a home in which at the time you moved in, it's on the deed that you can't sell to a Black person or a Jewish person. If you are really not still in that mentality, make the right decision.
Winfred Jameson, you're up next after P.O. Gridiron.
Ooh. Bishop, this is my last time addressing you guys, if you will. I've committed 34 years of my life serving the city, so give me extra 2 minutes. I had 6 older siblings that I was born in 1966 that got to see the signs on the wall about racism. And when I came to this job, there's a police chief in Kansas that said, be the difference. And I try to be the difference. We're doing a lot of things wrong. And I want you guys to know this as we approach to get a new police chief. When we treat people on crime scenes, there's more victims than just the person laying in the street. We can get more cooperation if we understand that these people didn't come there and want to step over a dead body or have to wait 6 hours or lose their job. We have to treat people with respect. We're in radical times with controversial times. This police against citizens that we're supposed to serve, you guys are the most important people that I served. You're the most important. And the officers that serve you are the most important. So I'm the only one to come to this meeting to confront you guys and have a conversation. I want to work with you. My grandfather spent 34 years in the city as a pastor. My dad, 32 years for the city. Me, 34 years. I want to work with you guys, but we got to do something different. And we got to do it from the inside out. So I'm pleading with you, the board. You have blind spots. You have blind spots. I believe in the principle of perception, because where you sit is what you see, and what you see is what you do. Because I am an officer, I see the missteps that we make, and I also see the things that you guys are not made aware of until there's a lawsuit. This is my last time talking, and people know me. I don't play games. I can go to the media, but I want this department to change. I invested my career training people to do better. You guys just don't know what to look for. When I make a complaint that something offended me, and I'm a 32-year veteran, I want results, because I don't talk much. I made complaints about discrimination. I made complaints about inappropriate conversation that was said. I deserve that. And you guys know, I work with you. But I say this to you public, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, because I worked every day treating you guys with respect, hoping that we never would be here. But now it requires some radical change. And the mayor would tell you he's not here. I fought him about some things that City Hall did when they dropped charges on these officers that I work with. Also, the same thing as I defended the chief when someone said something racial about him. I'm a fair guy, but I want to show you some blind spots. I can easily take this packet, and let me tell you, I got 4 of them that someone owes me answers for. Owes me answers when if an officer steps up to make a complaint about an inappropriate conduct by a commander, nothing is done. You guys are right. Nothing is done. This is old, and we can't move forward if we don't make some radical change. It might hurt for a little bit, but in the long run, officers after me and our civilians, they're being mistreated. There's too much entitlement on this department where you're doing pay raises and they're working overtime every day and no one know about it. I'm asking you, ma'am, because you said you asked you asked Brad Lemon, the worst person, because the FOP doesn't do anything for Black people or women. Okay, they don't, trust me. And anything I tell you, I can bring dozens of witnesses to tell you how many times I've done it. And then he's lax with the information that he reports. So I would say this, leave the commanders out, go talk to the officers. The first time I appeared in front of this board was when you was gonna hire a police chief, and I pleaded with them. They put Al Brooks on there. I pleaded with them, come ask us. Because some of them don't feel comfortable because they're intimidated.
We have to stay
Yes, sir.
within
I know you
2
gotta
minutes.
stop, but
Yeah.
this is my last time having this conversation. Please take me up on my offer, because if not, I'll be sitting right out there with them, and you don't want me to tell the things that I know.
Thank you. After Winford gentlemen, Reverend Esther Hosendorf will be up next. Thank you.
It is absurd to make the public wait this long to address this body. It feels intentional. Do better. Although I've all but lost hope for this body of oversight, I cannot let an opportunity to pass to remind you that we have a police violence problem in this city. And while it certainly didn't start under the reign of Rick Smith, he has done nothing but exacerbate it. Need I remind you that Officers McQuillan, Neal, Brummett, and Pritchard are all under indictment for various excessive use of force charges, yet all remain employed by our tax dollars. And it wasn't until Eric DeValconier was convicted of manslaughter was he finally relieved of his duty. Quote, hey, y'all know that chief now, Rick Smith? Man, he used to whip our ass when he was a beat cop. He terrorized us when we were kids, told us he would shoot us if we ran from him. That statement came from an unsolicited individual we encountered one day while handing out flyers. Quote, y'all trying to get us killed? Was the reaction from another person when we told them we hold space outside of this building every Friday for victims of KCPD violence. People in this city are afraid to exercise their First Amendment right for fear of they might be killed by one of your officers. Think about that. Think about the experiences people must have had for that to be their immediate reaction at the thought of coming to this building that is supposed to serve and protect them. Think about what this says about this department. We have heard countless stories from others who have been brutalized by KCPD, but are too afraid to go on record because of the well-known repercussions that will be inflicted upon them or their family. Quote, I have a family now, man. I can't, was the response when we asked another individual to file a complaint with the prosecutor's office about a violent encounter he had with one of your officers. And you wonder why your solve rate is so dismal. At least 20 residents of this city have been killed by this police department under Smith, and only one officer held accountable thus far, but not by this board, and definitely not by this chief, who we know condoned the planting of evidence by his officers and tampering with the crime scene just to justify killing Cameron Lamb. Do you think that was the first time? We have stories for you, stories that will soon be told. Travis Terrell Griffin, Billy Hunter Jr., Ashley Fulkerson, Robert White, Timothy Mosley, Marlon Mack, Martin Wilson, Terrence Bridges Jr., Cameron Lamb, Richard Davis, Joshua Downing, David Irving, Devin Harris, Donnie Sanders, William Slider, Kai Johnson, Ennis Ross Jr., Malcolm Johnson, Hanad Abdi Aziz, Dario Dominguez, all lives stolen under Smith's supervision. We have a police violence problem in this city.
Ma'am, the reason we have public comment at the end is because we appreciate having the public here to hear the reports and see the activities of the department. It is not in any way to punish you and make you stay. And we have had many people that came up later to say they appreciate the fact that they've learned things while they sat here.
Reverend Esther Hosendorf.
Thank you, Bishop. What's in your heart? That's a question I ask myself all the time, particularly when I have to make decisions that's going to affect other people and impact people's lives. Our young people inherited a world they did not create. We say we expect the young people to be respectful, kind, and honest. Who are their examples? I'm not here to lecture, but I am here to say to you, members of the Board of Police Commissioners, in your position, you can help to clean up the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department, to make sure all police officers know abuse of authority, and violence of the laws, and violation of the laws they have sworn to uphold will not be tolerated by you. We are a nation of laws, not of men, and it's time for everyone, no matter who you are, to understand that your personal ideas and opinions are not a part of how laws are to be enforced. So what's in your heart? Do you want to solve the problems that's causing the issues, or do we continue as is? For years, we have fought wars, war on crime, war on poverty, war on drugs. And to date, what have we really accomplished? The young people don't fly planes. To my knowledge, they don't own boats. They don't go to gun shows and buy ammunition and firearms. So they are not really the ones bringing these things into our communities. Many of them have never traveled outside of their own neighborhoods. So will you work with us to deal with the causes of these problems that have a negative effect on our lives, or do we continue meeting to discuss how horrible things are? There are root causes, so we must heal the root. The leaves of the trees are sick because the root is sick. What's in your heart? We have identified these problems. We need solutions. We need officers and social workers who look like us, who know us. I'm going to say that again. We need folk who look like us in these decision-making chain of command. We need community engagement. Data and surveys are important, but data collection will not heal our land. We need you to do an honest assessment of the current Kansas City, Missouri police chain of command and make the decisions that you need to make based on the things that have happened within that chain of command. There are serious constitutional violations that will not be tolerated any longer, and we want you to support us and those officers who are professionals. They do their job in the right way. Road cops have no business wearing the blue or the badge. Everyone should follow policy, procedure, protocol, and law. We are a nation of laws, not of men. Thank you, sir.
Reverend, excuse me, do me a favor and tell people how long you've lived in Kansas City and how young you are.
Well, I'm 83 years old and I've been in Kansas City since 1957.
Thank you. Khadijah Hardaway, and then Doug Schaefer will be our last speaker.
No peace, no justice, no peace, no justice, no peace, racist, police.
I am Khadijah Hardaway, lead organizer for Justice for Wyandotte, and I am the spokesperson for Tommy Simmons and the Malcolm Johnson family. You know, after watching that dog and pony show earlier, I just have to go back to where you guys were talking about how you were having conversations with children and guns and how that was making a difference in their lives. Meanwhile, on the other hand, you're murdering Black and brown people every single day, their parents. Never let the right hand know what your left hand is doing. Your negligence is just out of control. It's out of control. Leadership dictates followership. And right now, the dictatorship comes from Brad Lemon. And Brad Lemon is corrupt. He's been corrupt since we've known him. I don't really know him personally, and I ain't trying to be his friend. Neither am I trying to be your friend, Rick Smith. You should be fired. You should be fired because you played judge and jury at the scene of Cameron Lamb's murder case. Knowing that there was a violation of this man's Fourth Amendment rights, knowing that there was no warrant to go up on the property, knowing that the gun was planted, you sat there on camera and called this man a bad guy. I want to know, was it you that ordered the paramedics not to come down and render life-saving, administering life-saving techniques to this man? Was it you? Did you tell someone else to do that? Was that your job to do that? You should be fired if you did. Not only that, Malcolm Johnson, hand in the pocket, planting a gun, because that looked nothing like what the Highway Patrol said. And here we are again today, with you sitting at the head of that table, with all of these police commissioners watching you dictate to us what we do with these taxpayer dollars. It's shame on you. Shame on you, shame on the council, shame on any elected official, shame on everybody who is not
deserve everything that this country has starting right here in this room with you being fired.
Doug Schaefer.
And you also, Brandon. And then we need touch. And every time I'm back, okay, so many of my brothers and sisters. Today, for your same game.
Thank you.
We
Thank
are
you.
out here exposing you every single day.
Thank
and
you.
We will make sure you leave before you decide.
Thank you. Doug Schaefer.
I'm Doug Schaefer, member of Community Christian Church, board member of Moore Squared, 3rd District, resident for 26 years. No, Chief Smith, everybody is not okay. Cameron Lamb was part of everybody, assassinated by your hit squad. Cameron Lamb's teachers and friends at Hogan Prep Academy are everybody. My sons, always under the threat of an encounter with an unaccountable police officer, are everybody. My neighbors are not bad guys that you and your occupying army think we are. Who is my neighbor? Is a well-known question. People with guns in blue uniforms is too small an answer for Kansas City's chief of police. Your too small worldview is showing. That's why we can't wait for Rick Smith to leave and retire in due time. We don't need justice to trickle down. We need justice to flow down like a mighty river. We need officers in this department to understand that, hey, business as usual, old boss, being the new boss, same as the old boss. We need a dramatic change, and that's why we need Chief Smith to go now, not eventually. And so, speaking to those watching at home, this is really why we need a board that's controlled locally. We don't need the governor to appoint the board of the largest city in America that doesn't control its own police department. We need a board that's of the people, by the people, and for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Chief Smith, anything for today?
Well, as we conclude this year, I just wanted to highlight some of the violent crime numbers that Deputy Chief Maven talked about. As we've mentioned before, there's many cities across the country that are not in the position we have. Our non-fatal shootings alone, about 100 people not being shot in Kansas City this year is, someone's life not being affected by violent crime. And I think it's great that for whatever reason it is, which I wish we had an answer to, that we are seeing that trend and head in that direction. Same with our homicides, even though I would like the decrease to be better, as I'm sure everyone here does. We are seeing a decrease where other cities are seeing an increase. And some cities are setting records again. I saw an article that said 12 major cities in America are on pace to set records again this year. So we are very lucky here that we're trending in the right direction. And so just wanted to compliment the women and our community for trying to help in that.
We listen to you all, and so please respect the meeting as we conclude. Thank you.
Black power. Power to the people. Power to the people.
Approval of open session minutes. I need a motion.
I move approval.
Second. It's been moved and second. All in favor, by aye? Aye. Do we need to do a roll call, aye, David?
No. Who seconded it?
I did. No, I'm sorry.
Seconded.
Don did.
Don seconded. All in favor, by aye?
Aye.
All opposed by no, ayes have it. What else do we need to do on this, David? It's a special business session. Do we need to approve those minutes as well?
We did those as a group.
Okay. All right, we did it as a block. All right, David Kenner, anything?
I would just like to wish everyone a very happy holiday and a safe one. Take care of yourselves.
Thank you. Mayor Lucas stepped out. Commissioner Kramer?
Happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you. Commissioner Wagner? Nothing. Commissioner Dean?
I have nothing further.
All right. We need a motion to go out of closed session or out of.
Open into closed. I move that we go out of open into closed.
All in favor by sign of aye?
Who seconded it? I did. I seconded.
Don seconded.
Don seconded it. Dean, I.
Albert, aye.
Wagner, aye. Kramer, aye.
Thank you.